Llamas, long time no see. Today I've got my tripod set up. We are going to be doing a tutorial video on how to build your own marionette from home. First you need to gather your materials. I have one Anna doll. Hi Anna. Right, I've got 2 pencils to make the cross. I've got some scotch tape, any sort of tape. You could use binder clips in a pinch if you like. And then I have a pair of scissors, some yarn, or some string, or if you want to get fancy, some thread or some fishing line will work nicely. So for what I'm going to do today, I'm going to start with the pencils, right? And you want to just attach the pencils in a T shape. It depends, you can do it right in the middle. You can do it more of a traditional T, like so. So I'm just going to kind of put mine right in the middle. And you want to take your tape, or you could also use glue. Glue would work too, right? And you just want to kind of tape your pencils together to form a nice little T. Okay, and then as you're doing this, right, make sure that the T will hold its shape. So then you put when you start attaching your puppet strings later, you have a nice solid foundation, right? So we have our puppet strings right here, okay? And then next you want to, I'm going to use the yarn today just because it's nice and easy to look at. This yarn is actually left over from when I tried to teach myself to knit. It did not end up well, which is why I have a full spool still right here. Left-handing and knitting does not play nice, right? So you're going to take your puppet or take your stuffed animal, right? And you're just going to take this and you're going to tie a knot right here. I'm tying a knot in Anna's right hand, left hand actually, right? So nice and long. You are going to unspool the thread until it's about as long as you want. So about there. Okay, and you're going to just cut. Okay, you're going to do the same to her other hand. All right. We're just going to tie a little knot here. Okay, we want it to be about the same length. So when we stand her up, we want her hands to kind of be down. So we're going to make it about the same length. All right, I'll drop the thread here. Okay. And then we want to have a nice long strings for her feet. So we'll take and we'll tie just one little knot around each foot, like so. Right, and we're just going to guide it up. You want it to be about the same. Give it a lot of slack. Okay, we'll make it about the same length here. Do the same to her other foot. Now if you find that the puppet, if the strings are too long or too short, you can always adjust. I would go longer just to make sure that you have enough to play with and you have a full range of motion when you go to start manipulating your puppet. Right. I stole one of Lily's dolls, don't tell her. But then she'll come downstairs tomorrow and she'll say, but Mommy, it looks like a new doll. It has new ways for her to play. All right, and we're just going to cut our string right about there. Right, so we've got our strings attached to her hands and her feet. We're going to take our cross right here and we're going to attach. So find the 2 strings to your feet, and what you want to do is do opposite. So say you have, like here I have 2 different color pencils. So I'm going to attach, right, one side of her foot to this side of the pink pencil and the other side of the foot to the other side of the pink. And then I'll do the same thing with the arms on the regular number 2 pencil here. Right, so I'm just going to take, you can either tie a knot. I think I'm going to tie a quick knot. You can also tape, just to tape it in spot, just to tape it in place. Or a nice little trick that I saw on one of the other tutorials I was watching is if you happen to have any binder clips handy, you can actually clip them on. Right, so I just kind of have it like this. You can clip your puppet arms just like so. That way they won't fall off. All right, you can do that. I think I'm just going to tie them for now. I don't think they're just going to go anywhere. All right, so we've got our nice little string here. One side, we're going to attach on the other side. As you're doing this, you can start thinking about the range of motion that you want your puppet to have. So if you watch the other two videos that I posted, those have a lot more strings. And many professional puppeteers actually have it so that their puppets have a third dowel. So they have the cross and they have another one that they can move out and in to have a better range of motion. Most professional puppets also have joints. Our stuffed animals will not, so they'll have elbows and knees just like we do. Gives them more of a range of motion. Really, really fancy puppets might also have blinking eyes. They might have movable joints in their mouths, which is all something that has to be kind of custom built by the puppeteer. If you've ever been on vacation and seen a street performer, they work very long and hard trying to get their puppets to move in just the right way. There are still people who, believe it or not, make a living puppeteering. Marionettes not as popular as the Sesame Street type of puppet, like the hand puppet, but still have a pretty storied place, have a pretty important place in the history and construction and history of puppet making. So we are just about done. All right. So we are going to test out our Anna puppet. All right. Let's see. It doesn't quite look like. All right. So now we see that she's kind of hanging there, but she doesn't have a whole lot of motion. Right. We need to do something. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut one more piece and we're going to attach it to the top of her head. So we're just going to take, and if you notice, we don't want the puppet strings to really twist. So you might have to play around with the strings in order to make them so that they don't twist and get tangled up as much. So I'm going to take my string here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take and tie it around her head first. Right? You can also, if you're using thread, you can take a needle and you can put and tie a knot in the string, thread it through. Right, so I have a nice little strap like this. Okay, so I'm going to stand her up. Okay, we're gonna. Figure out the length, and you might need to do it a couple of times just to figure out what the right length is. I don't think I made my strings quite long enough, but then you just take your string and tie it right in the center of the X. That should stand her up so that we can play around and we can start moving around with Anna the puppet. And maybe for the first time in forever, she'll actually get to move around and sing and dance. All right. Okay, so there we go. We've got our, looks like we've got a little bit of a snag here. A little bit of a, okay. So she's a little bit tangled, so we should make sure that as we're building, We're keeping them untangled. You might need to slip off your strings and restring them just in case. Right, so me, I've got them kind of tangled up. This is actually the first time I've tried doing this, so I'm pretty excited about it. Right. There we go. Oh, I see the problem here. I see the problem. Here we go. Right, so we'll just slip them back on like so. One hand, the other hand, just like so. Okay, we've got our loops. Have our loop here on the end. All right, and one more. Put it right on the back here. And we have a movable Llama puppet. And as you start manipulating, you can manipulate the arms, right? You can manipulate the legs, right? With this, I'm holding it so that my left and right are her arms, and the forward backward motion is her arms, and the left and right is her legs. All right. And like I said, my strings are a little short. You might want to make them a little bit longer, but just kind of play around with your puppet. Okay. If you wanted to, you could even put the string for the head at the very tip here, and they could nod their head. So just play around with the string placement, see what works. Part of your assignment this week is to make a little video just like this. You don't have to show me the whole process of building, but I do want to see what it looks like when you're manipulating your puppet. Maybe give it a voice, maybe play some music in the background, make it dance, just to see that you're having fun. Like always, do not go out and buy anything for this project. Use what you have in your house. You can always use a shoelace if you don't have anything else, a hoodie string. Be creative. I want to see what you can come up with. I miss you guys, and hopefully I will see you again very soon. Love, Mama Llama.